Right, so I managed to fix a few things. I think the audio should be coming out nice and clear now from YouTube. Um, so I set the first one up, saying that I was doing a reaction of the Content Cop. I will probably just upload this as a clip in and of itself to YouTube. So to just go over what I said in the previous clip, you can find that on my Twitch, and I will put my Twitch on screen. But I watched like 20 minutes of this last night, but I could not remember it for the life of me. I get like that sometimes. If I watch something quite late at night, then I cannot remember a single thing. My memory is on the blink. So for all intents and purposes, this will be a first time blind react. So the history of Idubbz and Ethan H3, they were friends. I don't know if they still. Well, I don't know if they still are in terms of behind the scenes. I don't know if they still talk to each other. I don't know, what's going on there. Like I say, I haven't seen Idubbz content in a few years, and I haven't seen any of Ethan's content basically at all. I used to watch him. When was it? So like in 2016, 2017, around about that time, and then I kind of just stopped watching because I didn't really find it all that interesting. That's nothing against Ethan. If you are a fan of Ethan's, that's nothing against him. It's just not for me. So I decided to start watching it. So yeah, that's the information going into this. So without further ado, we'll watch the video and I'll give some thoughts.
The beach is surprisingly dangerous. Consider the
fucking thing in our defense, like, actually, Hila's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group that anybody who says any fucking thing, they will attempt to ruin their lives. And once again, I'm the crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people.
I love that uniform.
What we do here is go back.
I think that's one of the things I appreciate about Idubbz is the fact that he's not afraid to just take the piss out of himself and just, like, he does not care in the slightest. It's great.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in...
I just want to say quickly, if anyone is watching this on YouTube, what do you think about Hassan Piker? Because I'm iffy about him. There are some things that he says that I kind of like. There are some things that he said in the past that I really, really don't like. But I haven't watched any of his content. I haven't watched much of people go over his content, especially in the recent past. So he might have changed. I might have just got a few things confused and misunderstood. So if you do like him, please let me know down below in the comments or in chat. If you don't, also, you can let me know and explain why. Obviously, try and keep things civil. I don't want to insult anyone, but I just thought I'd let you know where I stand on this whole thing. I'm kind of neutral on this whole topic and these people, so I'm not a middle ground, but I'm coming in with as little bias as possible, I'd say.
in California, Los
Other than the fact that I do like Idubbz and Content Cop, but that's it.
Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's Content Nuke, and I'm not going to call it Context Puke as I normally do because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am a vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most importantly, Ethan is more attractive.
I don't understand. Obviously, this is going to be a political topic because it mentions what's happening in the Middle East in terms of Palestine and Gaza. So I'm going to try and keep politics to a minimum. But it's insane to me that someone who has a opinion can be called a anti-Semite when they criticize like objectively evil things that Israel are doing. Just Israel, not Jewish people, but Israel itself. It's really interesting to see when you look at some of the comments made by some of the Israeli government and some of the things that are done by the IDF that we have like on camera, objective, on camera evidence. If you mention that, there are some people who will call you an anti-Semite and say that you are a Jew hater. That's not the case. I think there are a bunch of ways that you can criticize someone or like an institution, and in a sense, I think we should be able to criticize. We should be able to criticize like countries and governments without people seeing that as an attack on people themselves. So everyone knows that a criticism of the American government isn't a criticism of all Americans, despite the fact that there are some Americans who are in support of the government and probably do enjoy what's going on. But if I was to criticize some aspect of the government in America, I am not criticizing all Americans. So it's funny to me when that happens in terms of Israel and Palestine, how people instantly drop that and say, if you criticize Israel, you are a anti-Semite. That's not how that works. Are there people who are anti-Semitic and do it under the guise of criticizing Israel? Sure, there are people who do that and they should be called out. But to label everyone as an anti-Semite just for criticizing like an objectively bad regime, that's not it, Chief.
Than me, both physically and also mentally. I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the Content Nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up.
Can you imagine being hated on by so many people? They all go to his son's house.
Wake up.
Just record this skit.
Just wake up.
Wake up.
It's insane.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not going to do a react content yet, chat.
I'm listening. Nobody's told you to wake up, Ethan.
And I don't know
Yummy, I
these
love
people. Like,
Subreddit.
I'm not a big Twitch guy. I'm not a big streamer guy.
Wake up, Ethan.
I'll pause that so people can hear me. I'm not a big Twitch guy. I'm not a big streamer guy. I've only just started, and I don't really watch much Twitch. I watch some clips on YouTube, and that's about my engagement with the majority of Twitch and politics in general at the moment. I used to be much more involved in politics, Twitch, or whatever it's called. You know, like Vorsh, San, even Lonerbox, actually. I used to watch some of their clips and some of their VODs, but again, I don't know who these people are, so I'm going in this completely blind. I have no judgment on who these people are. I'm not saying anything positive or negative yet. I just want to watch the content. Actually, if I just turn it down a little bit.
All right. I didn't plan on making a content cop on H3.
There we go.
It sounds very stupid.
That should be a
even
bit
saying
better.
That. H3 content cop. Idubbz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a content cop on Hassan Piker. Content cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I
gosh,
would have been
that
like,
would be
oh
horrendous.
yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
All right, guys, I'm going to tell you a story about Ethan Klein. I know some of you have been following him, but there's a lot of people who might not be familiar with the background, with his podcast. With
I'm one of
what's
these
been
people.
going on over the past couple of years. So Ethan, as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's fucked up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hassan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now, in his podcast with Hassan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers. You trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
I must admit, from what I've seen from Hassan, he can be really well equipped to talk about these things. Like I said, I am sort of iffy on him as a person and some of the things he said, but when he's on the ball, he's on the ball. Like, he will nail things really, really well. Like, he shows that he understands these issues quite well. So I do have to give him credit for that.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, the dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Yeah, I will say on that last point that Hassan made, that about Israel being the only democracy in the Middle East, I do not agree with that. I know he said that if you ask Republicans and liberals, that's what they'll say. So obviously I disagree. I get that he's not saying that. He's saying that other people would say that. But no, that's just stupid. And there are other democracies in the Middle East.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally is.
I was just eating the toppings. And the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
Yeah, moving people out of their ancestral land or wherever they live, that's ethnic cleansing. Like, you don't have to kill people for it to be an ethnic cleansing. Just removing a population from an area where they have every right to be in just because you don't want them to be there is a war crime. That is ethnic cleansing. That's a genocide.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy. And that's fine, you know. We don't expect Ethan to be an expert on the topic. Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli. She served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer.
Now, I think it's fair, bearing in mind what I've said before in this stream, I think it's fair that Ethan Ethan is on the side of Israel because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he is Jewish or he has Jewish origins. But either way, even if he's not, his wife being Israeli and part of or a previous part of the IDF, it makes sense that he's defending them. We could talk about the IDF and some of their actions another time and, like, you know, how culpable everyone is. I doubt that Hila did anything that we're seeing currently from the IDF, although I'm not sure, because obviously what we see and what the IDF actually do, two very different things. They have every incentive to hide some of their less savoury actions. So it makes sense that he's on their side. It's just, I don't know if it's the most... I don't know if it's the excuse me. I don't know if it's the ethical choice to be on the side of Israel against Palestine.
So this is something they're very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just like not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're going to call it out.
From the river to the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye.
So this massive
That's also not what that means. I'm sure, you know, there are people who can explain it better than me, but the whole saying is, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And people... I don't think Ethan believes this himself wholeheartedly. I think he's just repeating what he's heard. But people who genuinely believe that from the river to the sea is genocide against Israel they're the ones that don't want Palestine to exist as a state. They don't want Palestine to exist as a country, because literally all that phrase means is that Palestinians and Palestine will exist as a country. Like, literally, from the river to the sea, Palestine will exist. It's not saying that they want to take over the entirety of Israel. It's saying that they want to be able to live, and that's it. Like, they don't want to be persecuted, they don't want to be killed, they don't want a genocide done against them. They just want to live in freedom. The freedom that a lot of Israel and a lot of Israelis experience living in Israel. I think it's not controversial at this point to say that Gaza and the West Bank is essentially an apartheid state. However you pronounce it, I think it's apartheid. With Palestinians being like a second-class citizen group. Again, I don't think that's controversial to say, but the idea that people who live like that day in, day out want to destroy the nation of Israel when the whole phrase is literally just saying, we want freedom, I think that's insane.
Progressive audience that Ethan has, you know, adopted over the years, they're becoming increasingly critical of his position, because now he's talking about it not on Leftovers, he's now talking about it on his podcast.
What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, like crazy, like Jim Crow style of society.
It is.
I can't wait to show you guys.
The other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
So Ethan is having this back and forth with his liberal audience, leftist people online, progressive content creators, Hassan, all of these different people. He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, Frogan and Denims and all these dipshits, and everybody thinks this guy's awesome, apparently. Even though he looks like Millhouse, fucking dork. Denims, by the way, was the real villain of the video. Evil, hateful, fucking... And I'll say it and I'll double down on it. And people... Oh, no?
No,
not go there?
And it's all...
I don't know why you'd pick fights with people like that. Like, just take the criticism, man. If people are criticizing you for saying something, just accept it. Like, as long as it's accurate and, you know, not presented in a shitty way, just take the criticism.
All culminated,
I don't
at
understand.
least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hassan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can, like, rekindle our friendship. So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hassan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like Idubbz. He's a good guy, but I don't like this tweet. It's stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. And also he's way out of my weight class.
See, again, you can't be anti-Semitic when you're not criticizing Jewish people as a whole. Like, the whole thing about anti-Semitism is that you are performing bigotry against Jews. It's not bigotry to say that the Israeli government wants to genocide Palestinians when we have evidence that they are currently genociding Palestinians. That to me, you can't make that. You can't call that anti-Semitism. That's just ethics. Just calling out a genocide. That's just ethical.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there. I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan. He watched Ethan's content, he liked Ethan's content, until he didn't like Ethan's content. There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, you know? Like, I'm not gonna endorse it, I'm not gonna retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
I guess I just missed my old friend. Some wings or two.
What I saw is that Ethan is very much prone to anxiety and stress, and having loads of people on his head was a lot. He didn't leave room for self-questioning, instead going in instant defense mode caused it challenge. Defense modes caused it challenged too much of his belief. Because it challenged too much of his belief and experience. Feels fair but immature. Yeah, from what I've seen currently, I do feel like Ethan is a bit, I don't want to say emotional, because that downplays his beliefs and feelings. I do feel like, though, that he is picking fights with people who really don't need to be, he doesn't need to be picking a fight with just for his own sake. Like, I get if there's someone who's like constantly having a go at someone and constantly criticizing you, then you want to maybe have a discussion with that person. It doesn't have to be a fight. I mean, it can be. I don't really mind. But if you want to have a discussion with them, you can do so. But when you pick fights with a lot of people, especially when they're all kind of in solidarity against you and are just saying, hey, Ethan, these things that you're saying aren't true, it seems like he's just wanting to... I think he just wants to do it for... Listen, I'm not going to speculate on what's going on in Ethan's head, but I've been in this situation before myself personally, and I've known people who actively pick fights not to like prove anything to themselves, like not physical fights, but like online intellectual fights. It's when you're going in as a sort of defensive on the back foot and you think that everyone's out to get you, it becomes like a bit of a coping mechanism. Like, it's a way to cope with all these feelings that you're having. Like, you try and push it onto other people and you try and express you can't express your feelings to yourself in a productive way. He hasn't got that, sort of, as Froggy said, that sort of self-questioning, both for his beliefs and like his motivations for doing all this. So you try and push it onto other people, which isn't healthy. But that's, it is what it is.
Two bird feathered colored.
Now that brings us to February 28th of this year. Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that Idubbz' former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila. But no one's asking the question, where does Ethan get this information from? You see, it would be very obviously a problem if Ethan was discovering this content by scrolling through Twitter looking for something to upset himself with. He has maybe set it up in such a way where his employees feel the need to send him this information, and that would be horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be sending you things that are entertaining for your show that don't fucking trigger the hell out of you. Why is there so much work?
That's true. If people are doing this just to wind him up, like they're sending him this content just to wind him up, I feel like he should be able to see through that and be like, okay, all I'm hearing is negatives. I see all these people having a go at me. I'm going to take a step back and just either carry on with what I believe and what I think, or I'm going to sort of address it in a more, in a calmer way. I think, like, going after everyone individually or, you know, engaging with it in that way, I think, is obviously not healthy. It's rage bait at the end of the day. It's rage bait, and he's falling for it.
Being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit, when there's no work being put into who the fuck is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place. If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out. One of the users on the Snark Reddit points this out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its history, and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. Like, this is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me. So yes, I am willing to admit that my former editor was being very nasty, uncharitable, and fucked up towards Ethan and Hila on Twitter. But Ethan and Hila are doing the same shit on their podcast. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
Terrorist supporter.
I think that's fair. I don't think Idubbz has to own up to what his editor has done or said, because if he's an ex-editor, then, you know, his views might not be representative of what Idubbz actually thinks and feels. But I don't think he has to own up to any of that. Also, hello to the other person who's watching my stream. Hopefully you're having a good day. I'm just going to carry on watching the video.
The CEO of Twitch.
Pedophile.
Now I'm going to watch and respond to the two podcast streams where Ethan and Hila call us spineless cowards.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on us Nisa's and Idubbz feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
You don't know what's on my feed. What the fuck is happening? For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know...
Yeah, I think... Listen, it's horrible to say that about Hila because we have literally no evidence that she does those things, and just saying that because she's ex-IDF... That's not cool. Like, you can't just go around making these wild accusations. Again, I have my own issues with the IDF. I think they do objectively horrendous things. But in terms of random people, you can't just stick that on random people as a way to, like, criticize Ethan. Like, you know, if someone was having a problem with me and they said something inaccurate about my wife because she was involved in something, I would not be happy. So that's not something that needs to happen.
I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not going to throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not going to throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
How many women I fucked? Hassan, by the way, thousands. Yeah, thousands. Let me ask Galia. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex.
Watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait, how does he know I'm watching already?
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry.
There are many people.
That just feels very childish to me. Like, listen, I'm all for childish insults, but there's a time and a place for childish insults. And just, some of the stuff he said there wasn't appropriate.
I'm sure, who have unfollowed you for the things that you have said and done. And I'm sure there are even more people who have stayed following you because they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't want to throw someone away because they've had some hard moments. We're all fucking human.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit. I'm spineless. I'm cowardly because I am following someone on Twitter.
Because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy.
I mean, I don't know what he's getting at here. Like, yeah, people are gaslighting you. A lot of people gaslit me when I apologized. That was actually like the #1 type of harassment I got, was people gaslighting me and taking my newfound woke ideology to its extreme.
I probably done and stood by.
See, I didn't see the apology. I saw that he did apologize, and I, how do I word this? I like his older content, despite my own personal views. Looking back, some of it was very cringe edgelord sort of thing. But in terms of his apology, I felt like he didn't necessarily need to apologize. I don't mind that he did. Like I said, I didn't watch the apology video because I don't think he needed to, but if he felt like he needed to, that's his choice. And it was upsetting to see so many people criticize him for apologizing when it was clear that they just wanted the same Idubbz and the same content, and he felt like he was a completely different person and he felt the need to. Again, didn't necessarily need to apologize, but it was sad to see. The gaslighting, that is, not the apology.
And Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
I thought the text conversation that I had with him was very empathetic. I basically just said, like, I know you and Hila are experiencing a ton of harassment, and I essentially empathize with that, and I think there's something positive to get out of the conversation. But he refused to talk on the phone unless I was willing to publicly say something about my former editor and denims.
I've never understood that. When someone has an issue with someone and they're having a private conversation, I've never understood why they demand that they say something publicly. Like, I would never say, if I'm having a private conversation with one of my friends, and something like this happened where, you know, they had an issue with one of my, like a friend of a friend and something they'd done. The moment that they would demand I apologise to other people for their behaviour when I'm apologising to them for what they're going through, is ridiculous. Like, I wouldn't stand up in a cafe or in a restaurant and apologise to the entire restaurant for something someone else has done. just because someone wants me to. That doesn't make any sense. I've never understood this whole, you know, you got a public apology. I get that he's a public figure, but you don't need to do a public apology.
Much as you don't want halfway friends, I also don't want that kind of halfway friend. I don't want someone who's going to give me like an ultimatum to have a conversation.
Could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hassan actually wants to go to Israel, go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
You're trying to make a one-to-one comparison where there isn't one. This guy that I follow on Twitter is not in the same relationship as you and one of your current employees who is streaming with you 3 days a week, 3 hours a day for the past 10 years. At one point during the stream, Ethan and Hila bring up Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam does basically the same thing as my former editor. He's critical of Ethan and Hila, and he is sometimes uncharitable and nasty towards them.
Adam McIntyre needs to just like disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like, of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him, like, the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement, too. I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything
And
like
I was
that.
supposed to be, like, cheering on, but I wasn't going to cheer that on. That's disgusting.
Why do you forget that he called her children, which is something we would never do, the spawn of Satan?
It's disgusting.
And
a
I
piece
mean,
of shit.
I feel like some children are Satan's spawn. Listen, some children are evil. Okay, some children that I've seen are evil. Would I ever say that online? No. Yeah, this just probably didn't need to be addressed. Like, Idubbz is making the point that this does come across as very virtue signaling and very sort of holier than thou. You don't need to bring him up. Just ignore him. Like, I don't know.
Bit of a human.
it's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
Unfortunately, they never made a statement. They never said that they disagree with his statements about Trisha's baby until it's useful. Like, what is it, 3 years later? Like, I mean, you're talking about it like you were aware of it at the time and that there was some amount of pressure or enthusiasm for you to get down with that. And what it sounds like to me is that you did see it at the time and you were like, ooh, I don't like that. And you didn't endorse it and you didn't fuck with it. Huh. It's almost like that is a fucking identical situation to me.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guy.
That is actually a really good point. If you see content that you don't agree with at the time, you don't have to say anything about it, but to bring it up later as a way to sort of virtue signal about if you bring it up later as a way to virtue signal about how good and moral you are and how you wouldn't say these sorts of things 3 years after the incident, and then sort of backhanded, it's interesting to see who the good guys were in that situation, that's really scummy. That's not good. And also, as well, the irony of them asking Idubbz to do a public apology for statements that he doesn't agree with, despite the fact that they didn't do the same at the time, is very, very strange. I can only imagine it's coming from a very emotional place, and like I said, I understand why there's so much emotion in it, but I think both Ethan and Hila, both them getting letting their emotions get to them into this way is it's not productive for the entire situation. I just need to go and check on something, so I'll be right back. And we're back.
In this story, you know, it's really something.
So yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to like paint themselves as the good guys, and they're saying like, yeah, we strongly disavow things that are said, even about our enemies. We are the most immoral people on the internet, unlike Ian and Anissa, who are fucking keeping to themselves. Also, why the fuck does Olivia get the pass?
What a fucking asshole for putting you in that position, Olivia. You're friends with him. And you don't have to say anything, but like, what a fucking piece of shit. What a bad friend to put you in that position just for some fucking clout. It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit, okay? Olivia did not do anything. And
I want the pass.
I don't know who these people are. So, again, I'm going into this completely blind. I don't know who these people are. I don't know the context, the situation. So, I don't know.
Do I have to be an employee to get that treatment? Because then you'll just see me as an ally? Or is it because Ethan is afraid of wrongful termination accusations and lawsuits?
And also, I don't mind putting my friend Olivia, who's apparently my real friend, in a terribly weird, fucking uncomfortable situation where you end up getting hate for no reason.
Also, don't frame it as like other people making it hard on Olivia. You're making it hard on all of these people. Please acknowledge your role in this whole fucking thing. Like, it's crazy how warm Ethan is to Olivia and saying how Olivia is essentially just a victim in this whole thing.
It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit.
But me and Anissa are spineless. Ethan, your whole system is scrambled. My intention isn't to throw the employees under the bus. Like, you guys serve as the fucking foundation for calling out Ethan's hypocrisy on the whole subject. And I know that you guys have probably pushed back against Ethan over the years. How often are you supposed to do that? Do you have to do that every fucking week? It kind of seems like it. And that's exhausting. I don't want to confront my boss. It's not my fucking job to confront my boss and say, today's segment on rapists and pedophiles on Twitch was not my favorite segment to be a part of.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh, yeah. And our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times, because, like, why would I not? It was crazy.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, if that's truly what you believed and you weren't just going to use it later.
Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me.
I'm not going to assume that Hila knows, but I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel.
That is true, actually. Irish people have been fucked over by basically my ancestors. I'm not taking any guilt. I'm not woke like that. Just kidding. But yeah, we have and by we I mean the British, we have a long history of fucking with the Irish, really, and sort of not doing very nice things to them. So it's interesting that someone who was ex-IDF and is Israeli themselves is talking to someone who is oh, excuse me, it's that drink. Is half Irish and half Lebanese, and not understanding that they may be in a somewhat unique position to understand genocide, especially from Israel.
Choosing now, out of all the times, to be like, please defend me. No, we're not going to fucking defend you.
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at...
Also, I need to look this up, because I genuinely don't know. Who was it? Anissa. That's how you spell it. It's not that one. Idubbz. Oh, is that his wife? I did not know that. Obviously, Content Cup. 2017. Jesus, that is a long, long time. That is quite nice. The bit where she started a OnlyFans and he was like, and? Yeah, I don't really care about people doing OnlyFans. I can't stop them doing OnlyFans. It's their job. It's their choice. So they are married. Okay, so it is his wife. Okay. I didn't know that. I just wanted to check.
At 2 years old to kill Americans.
Do we have that one?
mean,
Like,
just the other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
No, it's not.
So yes, you caught us. We're not gonna run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anissa and I is when we're on Twitter, we do be following.
So,
The problem.
okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know, yeah,
Which I'll
she's
show.
friends with
Denims
Denim.
is actually participating in this whole child protective service.
Who is Denims? What has Denims done? I need context on this. So please give me that context because I have no clue who Denims is.
Why?
Yeah.
Like I've heard the name, I just don't know how they're relevant.
Which I'll
And if
show you
you're
guys
friends with them, then you're seeing what they're saying.
You'll notice that Ethan and Hila start talking about this Denims character. Originally, the complaint was about my former editor. He's been chatting shit about Ethan and Hila for the past year at least. They only care about it now because I guess it was spoon-fed to them via their Reddit that's clearly looking out for them. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, where we are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their core? People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they
Wait,
don't...
is Denims the one who had that editor who admitted that he was... How do I phrase it? Waxing his pole to her. And that's why he was late on editing his content. Her content, rather. I think I watched a Charlie clip on that, I think. I think that was Denims. I recognise the face.
Mean. People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know. I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way, where it's like, you know, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them.
Yeah, those kinds of friendships exist in real life. They're not just on the internet. Like, there are, even in my own friend group, there are friends of friends that I like and I could enjoy hanging out with. But it's definitely, like, my friend is the one in the middle where they're friends with both of us, and I can get on with their friend, but I wouldn't call them a friend just because I don't know them enough, or I don't hang out with them enough. So this happens in real life, so I don't get why Ethan and Hila are so against the idea of people having multiple friendship groups and being friends with people who don't necessarily get on with them. It's very strange.
Separately, yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not gonna make you guys like meet up and kiss or anything. I get it. You guys are in fucking... You're either my best friend who's deep-throating me to the base of my cock, or you are Satan. You're the devil.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. She's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the conversation ended.
You know.
No, because you don't need to publicly denounce things. If you haven't got a problem with him, then you don't have a problem. You don't have to say anything. I don't understand why they want such performative apologies from people.
Replied.
Ethan, you can't even phrase it in a way that doesn't make you sound like you're being coercive and shitty. Well then, you should have no problem publicly denouncing it, right? Does that sound like a friend? It kind of sounds like something a powerful villain would say.
But it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, "Oh, he doesn't work with us anymore."
Then
But that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't.
Okay. Do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends, though?
One of the reasons Anissa was so quick to clarify things in your Reddit is because your Reddit was already talking about who this editor is, and they were spreading misinformation that it was our co-host on our podcast, Uncle Dane. So yeah, the last thing we wanted is this guy getting pulled into this mess, and you guys don't give a fuck. Would it have been nicer and more supportive to say, we don't agree with the things he's saying and we support Ethan and Hila? Sure. Like, yeah, that would have been a nicer thing to say. Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out. And then maybe we can find a moment in time, I don't know how long it'll be, but a moment in time in the future where things are a little bit easier to broach. I don't think we need to do it right now, but you've insisted that this is an important thing to address. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me on your Instagram.
I feel like... Listen, I don't know the full context behind this, but obviously the whole situation has gotten out of hand where Ethan and Hila are going after people who have said some bad things, and then because they are connected in some way to other people who they consider their friends, they have this whole thing where somehow they feel like their friends have to denounce what someone else is saying as if they're responsible for that, or if they're like, you know, if they don't say anything, then that means they automatically agree with it 100%, and that's not how it works. Like, you don't have to say anything about this. You can correct misinformation, or you can say, no, that isn't true, but you don't have to say, oh no, he's completely wrong, I agree with you, I support you 100%. It might be the nice thing to do, like Idubbz said, but that's not something you have to do.
Story. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not do harassment campaigns and instead talk about...
Actually, let me just check something. If I take that back down. It's probably too late to do this now. I'm like nearly an hour into this session. I want to make sure that my voice is coming through. That'll be fun if it's not and I've just been randomly pausing every now and then. So let me just check. It's probably too late to do this now. I'm like nearly an hour into this session. I want to make sure that my voice is coming through. That'll be fun if it's not and I've just been randomly pausing every now and then. Then my voice is coming through fine. Sorry, I just had a moment because I haven't got a monitor for my microphone for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why I can't, because sometimes I can hear myself through my microphone and sometimes I can't. In terms of, like, live playback. I'm gonna say... Okay, so... Actually... That's not what I want. I'm going to keep it as it is for now, and then I'll see if there's a way for me to hear my voice back.
Out Vampire's Kiss.
At least say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly.
I just forgot that point, so let me just rewind.
Me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not do harassment campaigns and instead talk about Vampire's Kiss.
At least say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila.
You don't have to do that.
The problem is that she doesn't.
That's the problem.
She doesn't have to.
She actually.
She thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Go fuck yourself. What about your girl? This is what I'm talking about. This aggression that you're putting out into the world. What the fuck do you think we're gonna do? You think I'm gonna fucking sit on my hands when you do this shit? Like, this is nasty. We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing, but it happens, and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to stop harassing you if you continue to harass people. Let's think about it on a micro level. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on forever if you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line, what happened today, that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people. It's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself. In terms of these fair weather friends who are, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ethan, that is a rich thing to say. Like, you're the H3 podcast, okay? There's a lot of friends of the show. There's even more fair weather friends of the show. Let's not get into this shit.
That is true. There are definitely people who pretend to be friends with Ethan and Hila because they know that the H3 podcast is relatively popular and that Ethan's been around for, what is it, like nearly 15 years now. And it's like grown his audience over those years, and it's kind of changed and transformed as his content has changed. So to call Idubbz and sorry, I forgot her name. I think it's Anissa, isn't it? Anissa. Yes, sorry. So to call out Idubbz and Anissa for being fair weather friends and like just because they support people who have said some really shit things. I don't know. I don't think that makes any sense.
Okay? That is so bizarre and insulting to suggest that I was only ever being friends with you to get something out of it. No, I'm friendly with you, and I'd say I'm a light friend because it's been pleasant hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say like, yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but I feel very insulted and I feel defensive and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
It's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist. Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
The minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much
Sorry.
do you actually care? Isn't that the whole point? Like,
I realize
I genuinely don't understand that point, and it's probably because he's talking in such like vague language and doesn't want to name people or situations. But there is a time and a place to stand up for racism, even if you are anti-racist. Like, I'm gonna stick my neck out now and say that not every piece of racist rhetoric online needs to be addressed. Like, it's noble in theory, but in practice all it does is it allows that racist content to get more engagement because of how algorithms work. There are some people who do it to get that sort of reaction, so you're just feeding into their like trollish behavior. They just want to troll you and just make you intentionally mad. They're just rage baiting you. And then when they carry on, because they're obviously not engaging in an honest discussion, no. None of that. So yeah, because they're not engaging honestly, then they're just going to wind you up. So if you do engage with them, and you do get wound up because obviously they're not listening, they keep saying racist things, and you know that they're not going to change their mind, you just ruin your day. So I can't speak for specifics because Ethan's not talking about specifics, but if you decide that you don't want to get involved in like anti-racism stuff, for example, all the time, that doesn't mean that you're no longer... That doesn't mean... Oh no, because there's so many negatives here. So it doesn't mean that you're no longer not anti-racist. It just means that you are anti-racist. You just know that there are some fights worth picking and some that aren't, and you're not going to waste the entirety of your life going round and picking fights with people who aren't engaging in these sorts of things honestly.
Is that Ethan and Hila are more scared now than they've probably ever been. I feel like anti-Semitism is a thought in their heads now more than ever, and it's not completely unjustified to be thinking about that sometimes. You guys are just hurt, and you're kind of like dancing around and making very like loose, poorly thought out analogies for something that doesn't even apply to us. It's like me making this video is the standing up for something, and it's saying fuck you, you guys are being bad. You know, I don't think you're bad people, but you're being bad. You're behaving poorly. You're hurting people.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like not risking anything? Those kids who are marching with the black students and...
So in Ethan's analogy, he's the black student and I'm the white student, but I'm the white student that's not, you know, marching by his side. I'm not doing the difficult thing. You're gonna have to march on your own, black student.
Marching with the black students and...
I mean, why is it inspiring? Why is it inspiring?
Well, and it's the same thing, to bring it back to Hassan just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like, I was thinking about going to Gaza until I found out it's dangerous. He's a total performative activist that doesn't give a single fuck about the cause.
It's been performed exquisitely. Harassing one person and seamlessly transitioning into harassing another one. If anyone's been watching for the past fucking year, I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of your feelings about Hassan.
Like, people like Anissa are the perfect example because she's friends with these people. She's friends with Denims. Denims is streaming this story about our kid
I'll show that, yeah.
getting Giarda from the dog, whatever.
I'm sorry, I'll accept this take, this position from anyone except you guys. You have laid the groundwork for this type of streaming, which is watching people shit and giving your unfiltered reaction to it. Why would you expect Anissa, of all people, to say something to Denims? Okay, so by that logic, we should be saying shit to you guys all the time. But I have a feeling you guys wouldn't like if we said shit like that to you all the time. Yeah, we've been respecting you as independent content creators. You can do what you want. We'll treat you as adults. Maybe we shouldn't have been treating you as adults.
She could say so much, and it would make her a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's not comfortable. She'll get a little bit of shit.
Yeah, just for
But
saying
that would be commendable.
And by the way, it kind of speaks for itself that saying, hey, their house is clean, they're, they're actually good people, like that's gonna get you shit. That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
There isn't a single person that I respect who would give a fuck if I publicly said that Ethan and Hila are great with their kids, Ethan and Hila didn't kill their dog, and Ethan and Hila wipe their asses or don't have giardia or whatever the prompt is. No one would care. The only person who would care is me, because I'm like, why did I tweet this out?
Yeah, you don't need to tweet that out. That's like, you don't have to. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but every time I watch a segment from Ethan and Hila, they're trying to make people like virtue signal how much they don't agree with people that you don't have to say you don't agree with. Like, I don't have to say that I don't agree with, I don't know, Jim, for example. Say Jim says something. I don't have to say that I don't agree with Jim. I can just say silent. And when people are like, why didn't you say anything? It's like, because I don't need to. Like, it doesn't affect me. Like, I might choose to say something, but I might not, and I don't have to.
I'm not tweeting out because I'm not your fucking lapdog. That's why I'm not tweeting it out. I'm not saying it to my...
That's another thing as well. Like, it feels like they're trying to get people to do their bidding. It's like, if you don't tweet this out, then it's obvious that, you agree with them, so do what I say and then we can be friends again. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Audience, because I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
That's, in my opinion, doing something that's
Yes, it
difficult
does.
and standing by your principles. That's the whole point. That's what makes standing by your principles admirable, is that it's not always easy.
Why are you saying that I'm not standing up for my principles when you don't even know what they are? I get, like, we're a little bit past directly naming me, so we might have gone off on a tangent. If you maybe accepted the phone call and we talked about it, you could have asked me, hey, what are your principles? And I can tell you the way I've been behaving is exactly in line with my principles. Now we're going to talk about the BDS list. We're going to start off with Frogan because obviously this is like as bad as it gets. If you're following Frogan, that can only mean that you're anti-Ethan. Oh, this is not a good start. Love of the H3 podcast. You are following Frogan, so that means that you are anti-Ethan. Sam, Morg Pie, friend of the show. Olivia, Ian, Daily Dose of Internet, is anti-Ethan? Jesus, this is fucked up. Pokimane, comment etiquette. Oh shit, Asmongold's in here? Asmongold follows Frogan? No, Asmon. That means you're anti-Ethan. That's fucked.
I can't believe Pokemon and Asmongold. Like, they should be getting the same shit, but they're not.
Fucked up. We're gonna want to avoid these creators at the top of the list, but one tier below.
So, Denims, Frogan, and Sam Cedar. Listen, I don't like Sam... Is it Sam Cedar? Noah Sampson, sorry. Not Sam Cedar. Noah Sampson. I'm not a massive fan of Noah Sampson, but still.
Below them are the creators who associate with them. They're essentially endorsing all of their statements. You got me, you got Anissa, I think Hassan's in there. You'd think that Hassan would be on the top of the BDS list, but that's not the case. Hassan provides additional value for people. Ethan can turn a blind eye to people collaborating with Hassan because that's what he did. You gotta be the lowest of the low to be associating with the Frogans and the Denims of the world. To associate with Hassan, that just makes sense because he's famous and he's got a massive fan base. Also, Ethan still follows Hassan on Instagram, so Hassan is in his feed.
And that's showing up right up on us Nisa's and Idubbz feed.
It's important to remember that this is a living document and people can be removed or put onto it depending on how Ethan's feeling that day. You have this other tier of creators that exist below Hassan but are still anti-Ethan, but Ethan really doesn't want to bring your attention to these ones because it's kind of unpopular, you know? A lot of them are famous. It's no coincidence that Ethan stays silent when these powerful, popular men are supporting Hassan. It's because Ethan is a coward. He's a bitch-made coward. I think Ethan has an
Oh, this is getting very spicy now.
Reasonable amount of respect for these comedians because they have power, they're quick, and I think he knows that they don't fuck with his ideology. But he's going to keep that to himself because the last thing that he wants to discover is that people that he respects and looks up to, they don't fuck with him.
Bill Burr came on. It was like the worst fucking show. It was just horrible. That was like my lowest moment on podcast history. We could talk about Bill Burr, ruined my life. Bill Burr made Ethan go on Lexapro. I was prescribed it and it was in my bedside. And then it was the Bill Burr episode.
What did he say? Lexapro. Lexapro. Or Lexapro, is it? Anxiety and major depressive disorder because he had Bill Burr on his show.
Made me finally start.
When Stavros goes on Hassan's stream and he mocks your content nuke.
I actually saw a really interesting video about you, man, and I don't know that I'm even comfortable being here anymore.
Oh no.
It really kind of shed light on you in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of like have leftist politics and stuff like that, and I actually feel betrayed.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually just here to let you know this is the last time I'm ever coming.
You don't fire back because you're coping. So you're just going to tuck your tail between your legs and never mention on your podcast that mentions everything. You're bringing up some fucking connection I have on Twitter. Someone mocks you on a stream, you're not touching it. Fuck you, you're a coward. It's just...
Yeah, it's not cool to go after someone on Twitter when you should also be going after... By that logic, I don't think you should go after anyone, but by that logic, you should go after people who criticize you on stream. Like, it is a bitch move to just not engage with people criticizing you on stream if you're gonna then talk about Twitter.
Just his job. It's just what he does for his job. You know, he doesn't mean it. We're actually good friends. You know, he makes fun of everyone. It's not just me, right? Oh, also, I can't forget about Matt Lieb. Matt Lieb is in this, like, middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So, Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with. Although, he's sniffing around.
This guy, Matt Lieb, he works for Good Mythical Morning. Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, who apparently is a producer for Good Mythical Morning. Well, this guy works for Good Mythical Morning, acting like he's wholesome, and he's bringing on somebody that wants to kill my wife, or in a video game. And I think he should be fired, frankly. And
Bad Empanada, yes. I would say Bad Empanada is probably not, from what I've seen, is not the best source on things like this. That's probably the main criticism I could actually give of, like, in terms of, like, favouring Ethan's side. Like, from what I've seen, from what I've seen, Bad Empanada is not a cool guy to be, especially on the Palestine Israel issue. If you've seen his debate with Lona Box, that's quite fun.
And I hope he is fired. He's pathetic, and he interviewed basically a terrorist.
I think Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place, is because he thinks I'm weak. He thinks a lot of these other creators that he's gone out of his way to attack, he thinks that they're weak, and he thinks they're a target that he can bully, he can manipulate, he can send lawsuits to, and I want him to know that we're not going to be bullied. You're being a piece of shit, and we're going to call you out.
So here's the button. You've got a video and you've got an audio. We're hitting both.
Yes.
There's no point.
Let's leave.
Yeah, there's no need.
Yeah.
'Cause I don't want to. Oh, shit. Like, how pathetic are you? Don't worry if you don't have it all now. All gone. I don't like pedophile. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You'll be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. Yes, please. I want to be a good Jew. I'm a good Jew. Please, guys, please.
That was fine. Yeah, I don't think it was that.
That was fine.
Big a deal. Of all the things that
Anywho.
it always surprises me what you think crosses the line.
Well, I looked at Olivia and she's like, yes, do it.
Now let's talk about the button. Ethan got this button, or kill switch, as a response to the controversy with Cutie Cinderella. He was not able to control himself in that moment, and instead of figuring out how he can change his behavior, he spent $20,000.
Dan and Ela were like,
That's $20,000. There's no way that's $20,000. That looks homemade. How can that be 20? I thought that was like a. You don't need that. You just need wood. Surely you just need like a little wooden square, little wooden disc, paint it, whatever color you want. There you got like a fake button. Unless this button actually does something.
That right now, if we could. I can't change who I am.
I know. That's why the kill button is on its way.
That's it. See, exactly.
He uses the button for everything. If his jokes don't land, he's hitting the button.
It was being presented as if the Jordan crying thing.
I hit the button.
Why?
I don't think I needed to, but you guys were giving me crickets, so I panicked.
If he's insecure about getting something wrong, he's hitting the button.
But okay.
What?
So it's just it doesn't do anything physically. It's just like a prop. Why do you need to spend $20,000 on that?
What on this?
Like, don't get me wrong. I know I'm focusing on the wrong thing, but that's I don't understand.
Frame could Ethan have responded to? Perhaps the country flag that he got wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
If he goes on a problematic tirade, he's hitting the button.
Before, look how sad. But yeah, it's not just that. Like their eyes are like big. I think you guys are wrong on this one. I think you guys are all wrong on this one.
I don't think he's unique in hitting the button. I think if all of us had buttons, we'd hit the button all the time. But if you don't have it, you operate differently. You think about what you're saying. You maybe plan for your show a little bit more. You maybe say, I'm not going to have my podcast be an emotional dumping ground for today. You instead say, ooh, it's important that we stay on topic. Also, the H3 community and Ethan himself use the phrase goblin mode all the time to excuse a lot of his shitty behavior or make it seem less bad.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Like, it's a good point about the button. If you don't have that, what's it called? If you don't have that as an option, like a way to essentially like just excuse stuff you've said, you think about the things that you do actually say, and then you have to take responsibility for it, whereas it feels like you could say anything, like you could go on any sort of tirade, say anything, hit the button, and then when you get criticized for it, you'd be like, well, I hit the button, so it doesn't matter.
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually.
By claiming that what happens is he just gets into this like uncontrolled state he refers to as goblin mode.
I do not call myself goblin mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you did.
Goblin mode? Is that what you're calling Tourette's now? To all victims of goblin mode, I would like to issue an apology.
You are goblin mode today. You're goblin mode. Look how many times you paused the
I'm trying,
video.
bro.
And I don't think there's no room for using the term goblin mode. I like the idea that you're defending yourself and the little guy by going goblin mode when a big corporation or a big entity is trying to attack you.
Like, if you fuck me over, if you steal money from me, if you patronize me, if you do any of this shit like you're trying to do to me, to treat me like a fucking idiot, I'm crazy, dude. I've gone fucking goblin mode over way less.
But you not thinking about what you're saying, not, reflecting on your behavior, not changing your behavior, that's not goblin mode. That's being a child.
That's I've known people like that where they've said like some horrendous things and then they just said, oh, I can't help it, I'm just honest. And it's like, no, you're not being honest, you're being an arse. Like, don't do that. Just take accountability for the fact you say shitty things, own up to the fact you say shitty things, and don't say shitty things.
Talk about the crew. I think the crew has been put in the worst working environment that you possibly can be for a fucking podcast. Every crew member has it bad. To be around Ethan, period, would be a nightmare right now.
I'm standing by every fucking syllable of that, okay? What she did was abhorrent. And by the way,
Just don't. Listen, your critique of her is correct. It's just, people are sensitive about women being called that word. And so...
like, how pathetic are you? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not assuming his pronouns. And fuck all these people. Go ahead.
No,
and I'm
no.
not yelling at you. I'm just... Kelly is a black woman, right?
Yes.
Maziel is a...
Korean.
Oh, Dan, come on. You're being such a buzzkill. Yeah, I didn't know Korean. I asked if Koreans are POC. God.
You know, Dan's in the
Was he
back.
seriously going to ask if Koreans are people of color?
Let's just not do this right now.
I asked if Korean people are POCs.
The one time the button didn't work and we listened to how he spoke to AB without thinking that the internet was going to hear it, it was rude, it was nasty, and it didn't have this caveat of like, I'm not mad at you. It was anger, and it was uncalled for.
Use they get access to cover most of it.
You're doing it.
What are you
It's
doing?
so awkward and terrible.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just like this is what I'm talking about when it's always like.
We need to get home for our kids.
It's like, bro.
Oh no, I didn't want to finish it right now. I just I'm about finishing Wednesday.
On Friday, maybe. Is it?
You guys, like...
All right, I'm taking my hand off. What? Okay, well.
Heard all that.
Thanks, button.
And he didn't want to take accountability for it. He immediately wanted to deflect, and he wanted to say that the button fucked him.
First of all, I appreciate the hard work.
I know
you've
you do,
done, and
I
I
know.
loved it, and I really enjoy it. But it's like every time we do it, it's like the show is what it is, and
I know.
it makes it.
I was being selfish.
No, dude, that button f***ed me, dude. Can you imagine that button f***ing me over like that?
The button fucked you? AB fucked you? Who fucked you? You fucked yourself by being an asshole. He makes it seem like he's not a tyrant of a boss.
We're doing it.
What
You're
are
making
you
it
doing?
so awkward and terrible. I appreciate the hard work.
I know
you've
you
done,
do,
and
I
I
know.
loved it, and I really enjoy it.
Dan, his producer, is constantly clarifying things on the air and making it clear that what Ethan said was a joke, Ethan is being overly defensive, or he's saying things that are like not true, and he's...
Once you get to that stage, you know you've crossed the line, and you should probably have a look at your behavior and change.
exaggerating.
People saw that. They thought that that was what you searched to
I did
pull
not
up that photo. So I'm just clarifying.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you doing that. God forbid.
It's okay because I buttoned it.
Why?
Because
it's not that big of a deal, man.
Just
Like,
your
how
inability to.
No. Hold on, Dan. How does it change anything? People knowing that we did it.
It's fun when it's a surprise.
Okay, well, tell
Well, you just asked how it changed
Surprise
things.
them on your show.
Okay, all right.
You know, I understand that that's his role, and he's, you know, Ethan's made that his job, or Dan's made it his job. Ethan leans on it so heavily, in the same way that he leans on the button. Ethan is leaning on all of these people to be adults and look after his behavior and give all of this emotional and empathetic energy for Ethan, but Ethan refuses to give it back to them. Also, let's talk about AB and Lena, two Lebanese employees, and you just continue to talk about the conflict like they don't exist. It would be nicer, a lot nicer, for you to shut the fuck up about it. You're allowed to do that.
Hezbollah in Syria alone killed double that much.
Oh, Christ almighty. Right. This has gone on longer than I thought it would. I'm currently an hour and 25. So I am I've already titled this part 1 because I knew like halfway through that I was gonna have to do a second part. We are gonna finish the last 20 minutes tomorrow, and then I'll probably do something different. But so far, like I'm still coming at this from I don't know much about Ethan's content. I'm just going off the clips I've seen, but I've seen so many clips now where he's just been horrendous. He's talked about so many things that he shouldn't talk about because it's just... It's I don't know. He hasn't got... I feel like he hasn't got the political intelligence to talk about these things, and I'm not saying that as if I do. But I feel like he's coming at it from a very loaded... he's coming at it from a very loaded position. And he needs to... Especially if he's got people on his payroll that come... or have family that have come from that part of the world, and then he's sort of just talking exclusively about how Israel are being treated badly. Like, it doesn't sit right with me that he would do that and just, you know... I get it, he's going to have his own opinions and it's his own podcast, but he can say whatever he wants, but at the end of the day, if you have people on your payroll, on your roster, that come from that part of the world, maybe don't act like Israel are the only victims. Like, just saying. So anyway, we will continue this tomorrow. I don't exactly know what time, but I will continue this tomorrow. This will be uploaded to YouTube as a segment, and then I'm going to do part 2 tomorrow. I'll probably upload them both at the same time, actually, rather than upload it today. I'm not sure. I'll see. But yes, thank you for watching. I sorted out some of my audio issues now, so going forward, hopefully you'll be able to hear, because looking back, I was playing a game, and the game audio wasn't on stream. So that's quite fun. So yeah, anyways, thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all the people who have already watched. If you could consider giving me a follow, giving me a little message if you want to. Feel free to come and join chat if you want to stick around. I'll happily talk to you. But if not, thank you anyway for watching, for engaging, and I'll see you tomorrow.